Welcome to the Cardinals Locker Room Show, presented by Santan Ford & Gilbert, home of the Tim Hovick Satisfaction Guarantee.
Come on, man! Come on!
Let's get back to the stadium for analysis and exclusive interviews from the Cardinals Locker Room. Here's Dave Pasch, A.Q. Shipley, and Paul Calvisi.
Cardinals lose for the 8th time in 9 games, 27-24 in overtime to Jacksonville. We hear now from one of the players, Garrett Williams. He is standing by with Paul.
Yeah, first question to Garrett. I know you're fresh off that locker room and that overtime loss. What stands out the most? What's the most difficult to process about that game?
I think the hardest thing to process is just the fact, seeing how hard everybody wants it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there was a lot of moments we could have gave up. There's a lot of times where our back was against the wall and guys in all different phases stepped up. And so when you can tell everybody's playing hard, you feel it on the sideline, and then you don't get the results you want, it's obviously disappointing, because we feel like, we're close. Each time we feel like we're close. And, you think in that game we're going to come out with the result, but sometimes it's just not how it works.
Big word this week was details. What did you think about the details today?
Yeah, I feel like we're pretty solid on the details, but those few minor mistakes we made in all 3 phases, that's ultimately what decides when they're losing, especially in a game like that, playing a good team in Jacksonville. If we just clean it up, if we just continue to just clean it up, we're going to get the result we want.
What did you guys see in Trevor Lawrence? And I know Buddha had told the media it was really going to be key this week, the disguises, to really try, pre-snap to post-snap and try and make it as difficult as possible for the Jacksonville quarterback to read the coverage. What'd you think?
Yeah, that was definitely one of the main things. Very talented, but we also know we just had to just try to muddy the picture and make it harder for him to figure out what we're doing and figure out post-snap. But, he made the plays he needed to win the game, and I feel like we got the ball off him, but, we just got to do more.
Was there anything that he made some plays, but then he also threw you guys the ball, and you guys made quite a bit of plays. What was the determining factor from when the Cardinals defense was able to win to when they were able to move the ball? Is there anything that went into that?
Honestly, in that part, with games like that, I feel like it's kind of just the flow of a good football game, just having your runs on both sides, and especially in a game that's just going so back and forth. We threw our punches and they threw theirs, and that's kind of just how I look at it.
Early third quarter, take us through your pick. First and goal at the 6 by Jacksonville. Take it from there.
I was just trying to play my technique, and I seen the ball, and I just wanted to take it, and I feel like that was one of the things that I've really been harping on, just trying to make plays on the ball and just trying to just show up more for the team, just be more consistent for the team. And so I feel like I took a step in the right direction, but I just got to keep getting better.
No doubt. 4 takeaways by the defense. Garrett, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
There you go. Garrett Williams. We'll bring in Greg Dortch, and we'll get an offensive perspective here. And Greg, yeah, we put the chair here because I know guys enjoy it, especially after an overtime game. 6 for 53. I know just like a week ago, Jacoby Brissett would give every one of them back for a W. Tell me about what's sticking with you most right now.
So would I. Man, our offensive group, man, we fight so hard. Just the defensive side too, man. Four takeaways, I want to say, man. We just got to make them pay when they do that, man. It's just everybody's just tired of losing, man. It's just we fight so hard and we just come up short week to week, but we're going to continue to fight.
Where does this team need to grow the most, you think, to bridge that gap between these close losses and getting into the win column?
I just think we need to stick together. The good teams stick together whether you win or lose, and eventually things start to turn your way. We just got to stick together.
Tell us about Jacoby Brissett and just what you found out about him in the last 6 games or so.
Everything that I expected. He's a journeyman. He's a vet. He's a guy who's been around the league, has experience. He's a fierce competitor, and I'll go to war with him every single day.
You got third down, touchdown. We asked Garrett Williams about his pick. Take us through the touchdown. Everything from the play call to you breaking the huddle. And what did you think? Did you have a gut feeling at all on that play?
I always have a gut feeling when we're on offense. But I seen man, and I seen the call that we had called coming out of the huddle. And once I broke the huddle, I seen that they went man. I had a slant up, and I love me versus man on the slant. So after I caught it, it's just natural instincts kicked in, and I went to the house.
What's the confidence level? You, Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, if you guys are running your routes, that you know what, Jacoby Brissett's going to find you if you guys are beating your man.
I think it's very high, and I think it's very high because of the way that we come to work every single day, and the way that we practice, and we grow that relationship with each other and that trust. So confidence is high, as you can see. We just got to find ways to put it all together and win.
This offense obviously has been banged up at running back, big time. If you could get a little bit more of a running game going, look at a little bit more of a balanced offense, what would that do overall, you think?
I mean, that's just complementary football, being able to run and pass, not allowing the defense to dictate or know exactly what you're going to do. It would help tremendously, but we just got to play the cards that we've been dealt and just try to find a way to win, man. That's all it comes down to.
End of the fourth quarter, as we're wrapping up with Greg Dortch, was there any discussion of spiking that ball with about 11 seconds to go as opposed to running a play, maybe having a chance at running 2 plays at the very end of the fourth quarter?
I have no idea. Yeah, I just whatever they called, I just try to line up and execute it. But yeah, that's out of my judgment.
Michael Wilson had 10 for 118, and I know some of the DBs were talking this week. They sort of had a debate in the DB room. If he was on another team, would he be a wide receiver 1? Michael Wilson.
Well, now, yeah, he's a wide receiver 1 now, man. The thing about all of our wide receivers, man, we approach the game and we're so confident. We all think we're wide receiver 1, and you have to have that mentality. You have to have that confidence, that swagger about you, in order to make plays out on the field, man. Because those guys get paid too. They all think they're CB1. So, yeah, man, I love our group a lot.
What did you see on this Jacksonville defense in terms of the scheme? You knew it was going to be a little bit like Seattle, right? Everyone, they're known for, dialing up those exotic blitzes at different times, correct?
Yes, sir. I thought they had a really good defense. Their D-line was really well stocked up, and I thought they came prepared to play. I thought we did too, but they made one more play than we did.
You're the longest tenured receiver in this receiver room with the Cardinals. What should the message be for the younger guys right now with a month and a half to go in the season?
Just stay the course. I know a lot of guys coming from college, the season would be over by now, but this is the NFL, man, and I don't know about them, but I've dreamed of being here since I was 6 years old. So I'm going to do everything in my power to take advantage of every opportunity that I get because you never know when your last opportunity might come.
Greg, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
There you go. Greg Dortch, guys. Back to you.
All right, let's have an opportunity, Paul, with some folks just joining us here on the Cardinals Locker Room Show, presented by Tim Hovick, Santan, Ford, and Gilbert, right on the price, right on the corner of the Santan 202 Freeway in Val Vista. We will review what happened in this game, get AQ's thoughts, and then obviously we will hear from head coach Jonathan Gannon here in a little bit. Jacksonville led early 7-0. They had a 4-play, 97-yard drive, capped by a 15-yard catch and run from Etienne. And then the Cardinals tied it as Jalen Thompson forced a fumble. The ball popped up into the air as he hit Trevor Lawrence's arm, and it was caught out of midair by Walter Nolan, and he returned it 7 yards for a touchdown. Unfortunately, Nolan got hurt later in the game, a knee injury, and did not play in the second half. The Jaguars led 10-7 on a 52-yard field goal by Little, but the Cardinals had the lead at halftime on a 1-yard touchdown run from Bam Knight. They also missed a field goal at the end of the half that would have made it a 7-point game at halftime. Instead, it was a 4-point lead, 14-10. Jacksonville came out of the halftime and scored a touchdown. Jacoby Myers, a 10-yard catch to make it 17-14. The Cardinals took the lead back, though, midway through the fourth quarter. A 39-yard catch and run from Dortch. You just heard about that with Paul. But Jacksonville fought back. Just 4 minutes later, they were in the end zone again on a great pass by Trevor Lawrence to Washington to make it 24-21. And then it looked like Jacksonville was going to win the game. They had a 4th down and 1. They could have kicked the field goal to make it a 6-point game, or they could have done a lot of things, run the ball with their quarterback, handed it off to one of the 2 backs in the backfield. Instead, they ran a bootleg and tried to throw the ball into the end zone. It was incomplete. The Cardinals took over just about 90 seconds left, and they were able to go down the field and kick a field goal. A 29-yarder by Ryland with 3 seconds to go in regulation to tie the game at 24. Jacksonville possessed the ball first in overtime. Cam Little made another 52-yard field goal to make it 27-24, but the Cardinals, despite being in 3rd and 5, they could not pick up the first down. On 4th down, not sure if it was a design shot down the field on a bomb to Xavier Weaver, or if that just at that point was Jacoby Brissett not seeing anything underneath and just throwing it downfield. It was incomplete, though, and the game ends. So here we are, 3-8, another loss. 8 out of 9. The Cardinals get 4 takeaways, can't win the game. They get a touchdown on defense, can't win the game. The Cardinals, unfortunately, at this stage are finding new ways to lose.
It's really interesting to watch because typically it's a quarterback-driven league, right? And if we would just look at what Jacoby Brissett has done, he's been fantastic. And I don't think that is equating to wins at this point for whatever reason. And I think when you look at it, I think the lack of running game, I think the lack of pressures and mistakes and all of the things in inopportune times are what is holding this team back. Again, we talked about details, and Paul mentioned it, and we've all talked about it a week ago. It's the details that cause all the different penalties. Some of them should have been called, some of them shouldn't. Regardless, if you give them an opportunity to call it because of the lack of details, they're most likely going to call it. And I think when you look back at this team over the course of the year, I know I've said it almost every single broadcast at the sense that it's been 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And I think that is the biggest issue. No matter how well you play between the 20s, it's always going to come down to touchdowns, not field goals.
That is true, my friend. And unfortunately, the Cardinals needed one or the other in overtime and could not get it, and they lose 27-24. Back to your point on quarterback play. Another 300-yard game for Jacoby Brissett and no turnovers. He had a touchdown, yet it's Trevor Lawrence. 3 interceptions. He made a great play. The touchdown pass to Washington was terrific, but other than that, he did not play well. Again, yet the Jaguars are sitting here a game out of first place in the loss column behind the Colts in the AFC South.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence was not very good at all. I mean, you could almost categorize it as being awful today. He really was. I mean, he had plenty of turnovers. He was inaccurate when he did throw it. He was taking too many hitches in the backfield, not aware of some of the pressures, taking untimely sacks. I mean, all of the things went against Trevor Lawrence, but the crazy thing is the fact that they walk away with a win, it covers up a lot of those mistakes. When he walks into the building tomorrow, it's going to be a much happier scene than the Cardinals scene whenever they walk in tomorrow to watch this film. And so when you look at it, but again, let's get back to Jacoby. He's been fantastic, and he really was. And I'm not sure what that play call was on 4th down. I really am not sure. But what I do know is the fact of the matter is he did throw it on a deep post down the middle of the field with man coverage, with the safety over the top. I don't understand it. I don't know if that was the only design. Hey, we're just going to take this and backpedal and throw it down the field. But, there was still plenty of time left, and there was still 4 yards to get for a first down. There's 400 plays you could have had in that moment, and they chose that one. He makes that throw. And at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is wins and losses. And somehow he keeps playing incredible, but somehow they keep losing.
And if that last 4th down call was a design shot down the field, I would be curious if that's a higher or lower percentage play than trying a 60-yard field goal. Throwing a bomb on 4th down, 50 yards downfield, how would that match up with Chad Ryland attempting a 60-yard field goal? We know he has the leg.
Yep.
Seems like everybody in the NFL does these days. Obviously, it's no guarantee that you're going to have the accuracy, but I'm sure that was something JG had to think about. May not have thought about it long, though, because the offense was out there pretty quickly. Actually, they were already out there. They just stayed out there. Didn't really see much on the sideline in terms of, the special teams, the field goal unit getting ready to go on the field or anything. It seemed like they were destined to go for it there. But, look, there were plenty of other opportunities for the Cardinals to take advantage of the good fortune, the interceptions. I mean, 2 of those picks by Lawrence. And I'm not even including the one that was returned for a touchdown, the fumble. But 2 of his 3 picks were intercepted by the Cardinals at the Jacksonville 40, and they still couldn't. One time they were able to get in the end zone, but another time they couldn't do anything with it. The other interception happened on a tip by Calais Campbell. Garrett Williams picked it off in the end zone. But the offense, the offensive line, whether it's not protecting Brissett, they gave up 6 sacks, 11 tackles for a loss, and 15 hurries. The inability to run the ball, 55 rushing yards on the day. It's just not good enough offense.
It really isn't. And when you look at it, whenever you go back through the rushing stats every single week, I mean, you look at Bam Knight, he had 10 carries for 12 yards. That's 1.2 a clip. You look at the other ones, you take away the big run by Michael Carter, he's at 5.6, but you take away, I think it was a 15-yard run or whatever, now he's under 4 yards, right? They're all under 4 yards a carry for the most part. Jacoby Brissett is the leading yards per carry at 6.7, and they're all scramble drills because sometimes he's running for his life due to pressure, due to blitz pickup, whatever it may be. And so when you look at that, that is what I'm starting to lean towards as the biggest problem on offense. It's the fact that the lack of running game. And by the way, when they had James Conner, it wasn't much better. So, like, we're not going to sit here and say that James Conner and Trey Benson being out's the issue. It was very much the same stuff we're seeing now back then, right? And so I think whatever the biggest thing that we can point to is, I think it is the running game, the lack of running game, and the predictability, because now without that running game, it's either play action pass or it's a deep ball. Or it's some type of short passing game. It's one of those three things. But now you just gave the defense a heads up because they don't have to plan for half your offense.
Right. Yeah, play action becomes really hard when you can't run it. And I agree. The offense last year, regardless of who was at running back, they found a way to run the ball. This year, the Cardinals couldn't run it when James Conner was in there, and it wasn't very long, just a few games until he got hurt. And then, with Trey Benson, and Benson didn't play great, before he got hurt. I think the expectations for him are higher, but he wasn't getting much help. There are a lot of times he's getting the ball in the backfield, and there's a guy right there as soon as he takes the handoff. There's a chance Benson's back. The practice window is open now. He's off IR. Maybe we see him next week in Tampa. That's going to be – the Cardinals are going to be playing mostly games that will matter big time for the opponents down the stretch. They have a game against Atlanta. But other than that, Tampa Bay's only got a one-game lead on Carolina in the loss column in the division. And then you still have to play the Rams twice. So the schedule, they play Cincinnati at the end of the year. That may not matter, but you got to go to Houston. That's going to be meaningful for the other team. So the Cardinals trying to – you're not going to get a gimme. You're not going to play a team that's packing it in for the year for the most part.
No, and if you take a look at today's game, right, Jacksonville, Houston – and Indy are now all in the thick of it in the AFC South. If you look at Tampa, they're playing L.A. tonight. Depending on what the outcome of that game is, they're fighting for their lives. Now L.A.'s sitting there, and they're in a good position. We still have L.A. twice, right? Obviously, Falcons are probably done right now without Penix. But, for the most part, these games are meaningful. These teams are going to have their backs against the wall. If Tampa loses tonight, they're fighting for their lives next week.
Carolina plays San Francisco tomorrow. If Tampa loses, Carolina wins. All right, we've got Coach Gannon now. Let's throw it to Paul.
All right, let's start with the very end of the game, Coach. Obviously, no single play or play call decides the game, but was that a design deep shot? What can you tell us about the final?
We did a good study. I thought that was a great play. They played double-double, and you take a one-on-one to win a game. I loved it.
What about the decision-making versus attempting a 60-yard field goal? How did you weigh that in the moment?
I was trying to win a game. If you tie the game there, it's you're probably not going to get the ball back. You can lose on a field goal, or you're going to end the game with a tie. No thanks. So, I just felt good about going for it there, trying to keep the ball in our hand.
Final moments of the fourth quarter, I'm guessing the media probably asked about it. You had that 31-yard strike to Michael Wilson, and then you're running up on the ball. Any consideration of spiking it in that moment?
No, they asked me about that, Paul. We threw the ball to the end zone.
Yeah, you ran. Yep, you ran the play. Yep, and but there would have been about 11 seconds if you spike it. Maybe you have two plays to run.
Yeah, you maybe not. I always think in that situation there where a field goal ties it to not spike the ball and try to throw it into the end zone because the defense is discombobulated. It just was unfortunate where we were at then it ended up with 6 seconds, and where we're at, if that's a little bit closer, you try to get it up and down a one-on-one ball if they give it to you for another chance, and then you kick it. But I liked what we did there, because even if you spike it there, second down, 11 seconds, if it's inbounds, the game's over. So you really got one shot anyhow. I'd rather take the one shot on the move, on the clock, where hopefully the defense isn't in a premier call.
Overall, how did you think Jacoby Brissett was seeing the field today, especially considering a lot of those exotic blitzes that Jacksonville is known for dialing up?
Yeah, I thought he did well. He sat in there. He gave us a chance to win the game. There's no doubt. You know, we took care of the ball. We won the takeaway battle 4-0. Most of the time you should win the game with that, but we didn't. They made a couple more plays than us. But, you know, with the offense, it's like a couple times we were in, you know, kind of field goal range, moving the ball, and we get knocked out of field goal range, some negative plays, whether it be a sack or a penalty or a run. We got to make sure when we move the ball down the field that we come away with points, some kind of points, because I thought that hurt us there, and one of the reasons that we went into overtime.
I know you always assess the efficiency of the run game. What's making it tough to be productive in the run game these days?
I don't know, man. We got to look at it. It's, you know, they're trying like hell. I think we're getting on the right people for the most part. It's always going to come down to winning one-on-ones, generating movement, putting the ball where it should go, making sure we're blocking support, because we're not doing enough in the run game right now.
I know a number of the DBs, we had Garrett Williams on talking about the importance today of disguising coverages. When you have 4 takeaways, you have a defensive touchdown, right? The 3 picks. What were you doing? What can you tell us about the game plan now to try and disguise against Trevor Lawrence?
Just that, you know, you're trying to give him different looks and play different things out of it where he doesn't know his answers right away. You know, I think we let him out of the pocket one time on a 3rd and 8. That was a pressure where he converted. That was in the first half. A 1 3rd and 6 there and 4 down. He ran a draw, but I thought we did a pretty good job with that today. We definitely won the takeaway battle. I thought we were pretty good on 3rd down. The one, you know, we started the game with 2 explosives. That run went all the way down 45 yards, gave up a touchdown there, but then we kind of settled in, played pretty good.
When it comes to what's going to stick with you most is winning the takeaway battle to such a degree and not getting the win. Is that right up there?
That's probably number 1, you know, especially when you win at 4-0. So we got to look and, you know, we just got to play cleaner with all 3 phases, execute at a little bit better level to make sure that we win the game.
What did you think overall with the details? I know that was, you know, you stressed that this week, the details.
Yeah, I'll see when we watch the tape. There was a lot of good things out there, but just like every game, whether you win or lose, there's going to be things that, you know, we want to have back, and it's my job to make sure that we're on those and we execute those throughout 60 minutes of a football game.
And you had mentioned Michael Wilson, right? The sustainability, the ability to be a playmaker game in and game out, 10 for 118. What are you seeing out of Michael Wilson these days?
He's playing his ass off, man. He really is. He's getting open, catching it. He's got feel. He's decisive. He's a tough cover right now. He's got a good rapport with Jacoby. He's doing a hell of a job.
And finally, any particular message you can share with us that you shared with the team?
I just told them we'll go back to work. You know what I mean? It's just you know, when you say you got to put, you know, a couple more plays here or there, that starts with the week of prep, and we have to make sure that we're doing everything that we can during our week of prep to go out and play with less mistakes than the other team. You know, and like I said, you know, give credit to Jacksonville. They made a couple more plays than us, but there's going to be things all over the tape on all 3 phases. That kind of can turn the game for you, and we just didn't make those today.
Okay. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Be safe.
There you go, Jonathan Gannon.
So here we are, 3-8, AQ. It's a frustrating place to be. I think there were a lot of people thought going into the year Cardinals might be 8-3 at this point, but now you're looking at, I don't even know what you're looking at when you're 3-8 and you got 6 games left, but hopefully you get some players healthy. Hopefully the injuries that happened today, like the one to Walter Nolan, isn't serious and you get him back. But again, you have not been in this situation very often as a player. I don't know if you've ever been 3-8 in your 12-year playing career, but how as a player, because human nature creeps in, you start thinking about yourself, and sometimes that can be a good thing. I mean, there are a lot of players that say play for yourself, and if you play for yourself, that means you're playing for your team. Depending on what that looks like, if you're doing your job. But the mindset of a player that's 3-8, what does it look like when you got 6 games left?
It's tough. You got to find a positive in every moment, right? Like that. I think that's the biggest thing you can do. So when you're sitting in that locker room, it's how can we make this run game better? If we make the run game better, the team will be better. How can I play better? If I play better, the team will be better. How can we somehow find a way to get back to near 500? Because somehow if you can find a way to make this 9-8 or 8-9, whatever that number may be, but as close as you can to 500. Now you can sit there and at least take some wins into next season, right? And I think playoffs are probably out of the question, or at least pretty mathematically close to being out of that at this point. So now it's how can we somehow find a way to get back to that moment where it's enjoyable to show up to work. It's not, the skies and the walls are closing in on us every single time we walk in on a Monday.
Plus, with 6 games left, there are jobs at stake across the board. When you're 3-8 in a year that, again, people thought maybe you'd be 8-3 at this stage. So we'll see if the Cardinals can get it fixed before they go on the road to play Tampa Bay a week from today. Our executive producer is Jim Omahundro, associate producer Cody Fincher, engineers Walt Ellis and Jason Ellis, technical director Ali Narini, in-studio coordinator Jamal Gumo, the vice president of content, creative, and brand is Surf Melendez. Craig Grialou, Ken Summers next with Cardinal Talk. We will certainly pray for those guys as the Cardinals fall to the Jaguars 27-24 in overtime here on the Cardinals Radio Network.